guys, in this video we are going to discuss, or we are going to prove that a given natural number or given number is irrational. We are going to prove that a given number is irrational. For proving that, you have to follow some steps, or you have to assume that the given number is rational. Then you have to prove that our assumption is wrong. Fine, so let's get started. So first we'll take first question as root 7 is irrational. You have to prove that root 7 is irrational. For proving that, first you have to assume that let root 7 be rational number. Fine. First you have to assume that let root 7 be rational number, not irrational number. First you have to assume, this is the assumption. Fine. So first you have to assume that let root 7 be a rational number. Now we know that rational number will be in the form of what? P by Q, or we can take it as will be in the form of A by B. Fine. Root 7 will be in the form of what? A by B. No, basically we have to know that B is not equal to 0. And what about A and B? What are these numbers? These are nothing but co-prime numbers. Fine. What do you understand by the word co-prime numbers? Co-prime numbers means the numbers which has only one factor. That means one common factor, that is 1. Only 1 is the common factors between A and B. That you don't understand. So A and B are the co-prime positive integers, we can say. Fine. And B is not equal to 0. Now root 7 is in the form of A by B, because we have assumed that root 7 is a rational number. Now just rearrange this thing. We can take this B towards that side. So root 7 B we can write equal to A also we can write. Fine. Now what you have to do? Square on both sides. We have to square on both sides. That means when you square on the both sides, so now what you have to do? Squaring on both sides. Fine. You have to do the squaring on both sides. When you square, root 7 becomes 7, right? When you square, and B becomes B square. So we can write it as 7B square equal to A square. Fine. We can write it as 7B square becomes what? Equal to A square. Now basically we have to understand that from the theorem 1.3, it is said that if 7 divides A square, right? 7 divides A square. So 7 divides A square, that means 7 is or 7 we can, that implies that 7 divides A also. That means if 7 divides A square, that implies 7 divides A also, from the theorem 1.3. Fine. So if 7 divides A square, that implies 7 divides A also. Now we can write it as A is equal to 7C. Now what about A is equal to 7C? What is C here? C is an integer, any integer. Fine. Since 7 divides A square and we got it as 7 divides A, so we can write it as A is equal to 7C. Fine. Now putting the value of A in this thing. Fine. In this thing you have to put. Fine. So A value you have to put in this thing. So it becomes 7B square equal to 49C square. Right? It becomes 49C square. Now we got it as 49C square. Now what you have to do? That implies we can say we can cancel this thing. 7 and 49. 7 sevens are. So this becomes B square equal to 7C square. This get cancelled. 7 sevens are 49. So B square equal to 7C square. Now from this what we can understand? It means that 7 divides B square. We can say that 7 divides B square. That implies 7 divides A. 7 divides b, right? Divides b, right? 7 divides b, you can say. So basically from this what you have to understand. Basically you have to understand that 7 is a common factor for both a and b. That you have to write, okay? 7 is a common factor of both a and b. So which is a contradiction, right? So our assumption is wrong. That means our assumption that what was our assumption? That root 7 is a rational number. Fine. So we conclude that root 7 is irrational because since the 7 has 2 common factor, that means first what was our assumption? That root 7 is a rational number. Then we are converted into that form that where a and b are what? Co-prime numbers, which has only one common factor, but we have proved that it has 2 common factors, that is a as well as b. So 7 has a as well as b as common factors. So this our assumption was absolutely wrong. So we conclude that root 7 is what? Irrational number. Fine. So this is how we have to prove. Fine. Going to the next question. So when you go to the next question, that is 5 minus root 2 is irrational. You have to follow the same procedure. Let us assume that let 5 minus root 2 is a rational number. Fine. Rational number. So we are proving that, or we are assuming. Basically you have to assume that let 5 minus root 2 is a rational number. So when you assume, we can say that it is in the form of what? We can write it in the form 5 minus root 2, we can write it in the form a by b. Fine. Where a and b are co-prime numbers and b is not equal to 0. Now we have to rearrange these terms. We can take root 2 that side and a minus b this side, a by b this side. So it becomes 5 minus a by b and this becomes root 2, right? This I am shifting this root 2 that side and a by b this side. Fine. So you have to do the same procedure in this type of questions, okay? Now what you have to do, just to simplify this thing. So this becomes 5b minus a by b, right? Equal to what? Root 2. So from this we can know that this is in the form of what? P by Q or A by B, whichever form. It's a rational number, we can conclude. So we can prove that since this is a rational number, we can say that, and A and B are what? Integers, positive integers. They are co-prime numbers. So we can say that A by this is in the form of LHS. We can say LHS in the form of what? A rational number. So we can say that this root 2 is also should be a rational number, but which is a contradiction. So our assumption is wrong. Fine. So this becomes what? LHS becomes a rational number because it is in the form of what? P by Q. So this also should be in the rational number, which is because it is equal to what? Root 2. So this is a rational number and this also should be a rational number, which is a contradiction. So we can say that our assumption is wrong. So therefore we can say 5 minus root 2 is irrational. Fine. We can say that 5 by minus 2 is a irrational number.